All right, so just to clarify this morning, there are no reports, according to CNN, of any alien sightings
Thank you for
near
clearing
Area
that up.
51.
Thank you for making it clear.
Despite there was a decent turnout for yesterday's much anticipated event, and my kids were watching this. They wanted to see what was going to happen. We're talking about 2,000 people who flooded into Nevada after a call on Facebook to storm Area 51. About 200 of them have made it to the main gate, but that obviously a much smaller number than the nearly 2 million who had pledged to raid the U.S. Air Force facility in Nevada.
You just can't trust folks that stay on their word. They can't come through. 2 million said they'd be there. 200 made it to the gate. All right, so the local sheriff says 2 people were arrested for minor issues, including 1 alcohol-related arrest and another for indecent exposure. The sheriff said there was also a rollover accident with injuries.
But these are the pictures that we're getting from the area, the latest pictures.
Yeah.
So this is what's interesting when you talk about the timing of this. Because look at this picture. The U.S. Navy has confirmed videos purported to show that UFOs are indeed real. Now, a Navy spokesman doesn't refer to them as such. They call them unidentified aerial phenomena, not unidentified flying objects, for whatever reasons.
All right, with us now to discuss, Leroy Chiao, retired NASA astronaut. Leroy, you know, you're the person we turn to for all of this. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start here with the Area 51 storming of 200 people at the gates. First, I want to know what the police reports are for the indecent exposure and the alcohol-related issue, but I'll find that out.
That might not be morning material.
No, I don't think it is. But what do you make of this all this hysteria? There have been questions about Area 51, obviously, for quite some time, but it seems that this group just didn't. What started as a joke didn't really come through on that promise or expectation.
Right. This shows you, of course, some of the perils of social media, right? So my understanding is even the organizer of that page actually was begging people, please don't actually go do this, you know, and even my 12-year-old daughter asked me about it, and she said their thing is they can't stop all of us. I said, well, you're talking about the U.S. military. Actually, they can, and they so glad it turned out more or less peacefully. And you know, Area 51, of course, the best known secret military base, I think, in the world, probably purported to have all kinds of things there. But I believe, without any knowledge myself, but I would, of course, it's just a secret base that does all kinds of classified programs there.
All right, we want to tap into your knowledge, though. When it comes to these videos from the U.S. Navy, they're not calling them UFOs. They are acknowledging that they can't identify them. What's your guess? You've been to space.
Right. Right. Well, and so, I believe these pilots actually saw and filmed things that were flying that they couldn't explain. And even the Navy probably doesn't really know what they are, but I would bet, my guess is they're classified aircraft programs. And if you look at the history of, these kinds of things, there have been weird sightings since way back when. And later on, we might discover when something is unclassified, oh, indeed it was an unclassified, or it was a classified Air Force military program. And a good example, I was flying one day when I was back at NASA years ago, and I was flying with a senior astronaut, and he said, oh, look at that. And we looked at something that looked a little bit odd flying around. And he said, back in the 1960s, I saw a contrail way above me that was pulsing, and that thing was flying so fast, it had to be going at a really high Mach number. And later on, years later, it turned out that we were doing research work on high altitude pulse jets flying at very fast speeds. And so that's a good example of looking at something or seeing something that you can't explain at the moment, but then later on turned out something that we were doing research on.
Leroy Chiao, we always appreciate you waking up early to talk about all this stuff with us that we don't understand. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Leroy.